spread the salam.
That's deep.
Because the Prophet ﷺ says that none of you will enter paradise until you believe, and none of you will believe until you love one another. أَفَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ إِذَا فَعَلْتُمُوهُ تَحَابَبْتُمْ. Shall I not tell you something that if you do it, you will love one another? Spread the salam amongst you.
SubhanAllah.
And so spreading the salam, and I can't tell you how many places I've been. You know, there are a lot of beautiful masajid in this country.
Yeah.
People who spent millions and millions and millions of dollars. But if you walk in and nobody gives you salam, then what's that building worth?
Yeah.
You know?
Not much.
It's not.
بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah musalliyan ala Muhammadin wa alihi wa man tala. Today we're back with another episode of Good Deeds, and we have a very, very special guest. Akhuna, Ustaduna, Sheikhana, Sheikh from New York? New York?
I am from New York, yes.
Ammar Alshukry.
How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. Allah is that.
It's a pleasure seeing you again. It's funny, I love coming to Minneapolis. When I come to Minneapolis, it's like everybody that I know in Minneapolis, I meet in Minneapolis when I'm here.
Man, see, that's how great. Connected we are.
I love it. It's like you come, and everybody that you want to see, you want to see. In fact, there's one person that I still haven't met, and I'm expecting to see them at some point, and then
before you leave,
yeah, and then that's pretty much everybody. I've seen everybody.
Yeah. So today we got an amazing good deed for you guys, and that is loving each other. Right? You sometimes hear that Deen love slogan, you know, Iman is our connection and Allah is our direction, which is somehow...
I love it. Yeah. Iman is our connection and Allah is our direction. You might see me mention that in a poem somewhere down the line.
I'm telling you, Ustad's a poet, so spoken word talented, mashallah. So we're going to get into it. Loving each other. Ustad, the status...
Loving each other for the sake of Allah.
Yep.
Amazing, amazing act of worship.
SubhanAllah.
Amazing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so much so that a person who loves one another for the sake of Allah, for no other reason, they'll be in the shade of the throne of Allah on the Day of Judgment. I want you to imagine, like, if you've ever been, you know, Eid is in the summer, right?
Eid is in the summer nowadays, yeah.
A few, not this Eid, but the one before it, Eid Ramadan, I remember going to the park, and everybody was praying out in the park, and it was 9 a.m., and it was still very, very early. But the sun was out so hot that nobody, you know, you had everybody praying in the sun, and they had their newspapers that they were using to cover, and everybody
really? At 9 a.m.?
But you had a whole group of people who went off to the shade. There was like a little shade against the wall, and everybody was there. And you know, that shade became such prime real estate at that early morning. Yeah. And it just reminded me of on the Day of Judgment how there's going to be people who are just, you know, they're going to be in the shade of the throne. And one of the groups that are in the shade, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned 7. Of the groups is 2 people who loved each other for the sake of Allah.
SubhanAllah.
So it's very, very valuable. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ even told us that there will be people who will be on thrones of light on the Day of Judgment who the prophets and the martyrs will be envious of. Ooh. Who are these people? 2 people who loved each other for the sake of Allah. They had no sort of business between them. There was no relationship that they had. And why is it so beautiful? I'll tell you. I naturally love because of me. Yeah. I love my parents because they were good to me. You may not feel that way about my parents because you don't have a relationship with them. I might not feel the same way about yours or anybody else's, right? I love my friends because they you know, they're mine. Yep. They help me out, and you know, I enjoy their company. The relationship, the center of the relationship is me. Yeah. However, when you love someone for the sake of Allah, you're removing yourself from being the center. Yeah. The center is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so I'm not loving this person because they're good to me. Yeah. I'm loving them because they worship Allah. I'm loving that brother because they're always in the first row of the masjid. I'm loving that sister because she teaches Quran. You know what I mean? So I'm loving that person not because they're orbiting around me, but because they're orbiting around Allah. And that's why it's such a beautiful act of worship. Yeah. Loving for the sake of Allah, you know, there's a lot of things that we can do to increase love for one another. Yeah. And I think that we have to become a community that really, really recognizes that we should love one another. Definitely. And not hate one another. And of the things that we can do to increase love for each other, number 1 is just to really look at the positives that people have. Yeah. And don't look at the negatives. Don't look at the negatives.
Man, that's tough. A lot of people in our community, they fail to do that.
They walk into a mission, the first, you know, there would be like 30 kids memorizing Quran, right? Yeah. And what they'll see is that the shoes are not lined up properly. Right? Or This happens in masajid all over the country. Kids will be in the masjid,
Yeah.
wrestling and
Yeah.
playing and all this type of stuff, and they won't see that these kids could have been anywhere in the city right now. They could have
Yeah.
been at a club. They could have been doing a million different things, and they're here in the masjid and they're wrestling. But that's what I see. I see
Yeah.
that they're making noise in the masjid. Okay, it's better for them to make noise in the masjid than to make
Anywhere
noise
else.
anywhere else.
SubhanAllah.
Absolutely. So, and the Prophet ﷺ, he taught us, even with regards to personal relationships, the most personal between a husband and a wife, he said, لا يفرق مؤمن مؤمنة.
SubhanAllah.
A believing man never hates a believing woman. Why? إذا كره منها خلقا رضي منها آخر.
SubhanAllah.
If you like one, if you dislike one quality, don't focus on the one that you dislike.
Yeah.
There are qualities that you do like. There are
course.
qualities that you love.
Of course, yeah.
So focus on that which you love. So that's number one, that we don't look at the worst things that people have. We look at the best things. We don't look
Yeah.
at the worst thing that a community has. We look at the best things that a community has. Number two, after that, is that you actually communicate love.
Yeah. Which is sometimes it can be difficult to a certain extent. That what can we do to make that really easy? Because a lot of people, even the people who are in relationships, they find it difficult to communicate love. And sometimes is it saying I love you? Does that do the job? Or
Well, that's a start, that you say I love you, but people have different love languages, right?
exactly.
So some people it's words of affirmation like I love you. Some people their love language is acts of service. But you have to figure out what people's love languages
Yeah.
are. If it's something it's that close and that personal. But your average brother or sister, showing them that you love them and communicating that. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you love somebody, then tell them. And so going out and actually sharing that. And a lot of times people they'll say, well, that's not part of my culture. I wasn't raised like that. It's true, right? It's okay. I understand that, but and that could be very real. But the Prophet ﷺ was sent to a culture that was so harsh.
Yeah.
A person says, Ya Rasulullah, I never kissed any of my children. I had 10 children. I never kissed any of them. That's the culture that they had.
Man.
They would bury their daughters alive. It doesn't get harsher than that.
Man.
And yet the Prophet ﷺ is coming to their culture and he's saying, no, you're going to have to change that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to communicate to people that you love them.
Man.
You're going to have to, he himself would, Amr ibn al-As comes to him and he says, O Messenger of Allah, who's the most beloved person to you? And he says, Aisha.
Oh.
He's declaring the love that he has to his wife to all of these men. And then they say to her, no.
Among the men.
Yeah, among the men. And he goes, Abiha, her father.
Man.
So he's still connecting it to her. And so
Yeah.
he's breaking that type of
Silence.
yeah, he's breaking that type of awkwardness that they had
Yeah.
towards this issue, and he's showing them that love has to be communicated. So that's number two is communicating love, telling people that you love them. And even if you're saying that it's really, really hard, I think that there's still easier ways. Maybe it's hard for me to communicate it, for example, verbally. Well, let me send a text message, for example. Let me communicate it like that.
Different options of communication. Yeah.
Let me write it out if I can't speak it.
Yeah.
But just the notion that this has to be something that's spoken. And if it's something that's spoken and I'm too shy to actually say it, or I'm too embarrassed or something, then write it down. That's what people have been doing their whole life.
Long time.
Yeah, you can't say something, you write it in a note and you pass it to somebody. That's the idea. Or write an email or something. But sharing how you feel, it's important. It's very important. It's very important. Number three is spread the salam.
That's deep.
Because the Prophet ﷺ says that none of you will enter paradise until you believe, and none of you will believe until you love one another. أَفَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ إِذَا فَعَلْتُمُوهُ تَحَابَبْتُمْ. Shall I not tell you something that if you do it, you will love one another? Spread the salam amongst you.
SubhanAllah.
And so spreading the salam, and I can't tell you how many places I've been. There are a lot of beautiful masajid in this country.
Yeah.
People who spent millions and millions and millions of dollars. But if you walk in and nobody gives you salam, then what's that building worth?
Yeah. Not much.
It's not. And a lot of times the people who complain from this the most are the sisters. They, complain about walking into a place and saying salam to the sisters, or just sisters ignoring them. And I don't know why that happens. Maybe some of our sisters who are watching this, you might be able to comment in the video and just tell us why this happens and how this can be resolved, or how you've been able to resolve it.
Is that what you've seen through
for
different
sure.
places that sisters say that when we give salams?
Yeah, it's a very, very It's very, very
Common, huh?
Very common. And I remember
Wow.
one time I took my wife to a small, dingy masjid.
Okay.
Super small. Like the sister section, like the masjid was about the size of this room, the entire musalla. And
Wow.
the sister section was a curtain, a little piece of it. I think that the sister section maybe holds about 7 sisters or 8. And this is for Salat al-Jum'ah. So she came and she walked into the sister section. Maybe not 7, maybe it was like 12. Maybe
Yeah.
12 sisters.
Yeah.
But not more than that, super small.
Yeah.
And after the Salah, okay, my wife came up to me and she said, I think like 9 of the 12 sisters all got up and gave me a hug. And it was her first time coming to that masjid. It's a different city that she just was so
She felt amazed,
overwhelmed,
yeah.
yes, by how much
Attention.
the love
Welcome,
that she
yeah.
received. Right, that's what we call it. We call it love.
Yeah,
She
of
gave me a
course.
lot of love, and so spreading the salam amongst each other is an incredible way to increase love.
Yeah.
And so these are 3 things that we can do immediately to increase love for one another.
Yeah.
And hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make us of those who are in His shade on the last day of when there is no shade except for His shade.
Yeah.
I remember when Muhammad Ali rahimahullah passed away,
Yeah.
me and 2 friends, we were going to road trip
Yeah.
from Houston to Louisville, Kentucky.
Is that where
It
you're
was
staying at?
Ramadan.
Houston?
Yeah, I'm in Houston these days.
Oh, okay.
And so we were driving to Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
We were, he passed away suddenly. I don't remember what day of the week it was. Might have been like a Monday or a Tuesday. And the janazah was on a Thursday in Ramadan.
Okay.
And so we needed to drive from Houston to Louisville. I think it was a good 17-hour drive or something like that.
Yeah.
So we left on Wednesday afternoon, and we were going to drive nonstop to Louisville and catch the janazah by like Dhuhr time the next
Yeah.
day. And I remember around 12 hours later, we were on the road, and one of my mashayikh, Sheikh Walid Basuni, he called me up, and he was just checking in on us, like, how are you guys doing on the road and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so one of the brothers, he asked the Sheikh a question, and he said, Sheikh, like, is this something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like, rewards? And so the Sheikh said, he said something very beautiful. He said, loving for the sake of Allah is one of the most beloved actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Definitely.
And you guys are right now, you're driving to go pray janazah on this person when you're not seeking anything from him. There's no dunya that you want
Yeah.
from him. There's no favor that you're hoping for. There's
Yeah.
nothing that you want. All that's motivating you to take this drive, and not just us, but all of these people who drove from all over the country, subhanAllah, to attend this man's janazah, rahimahullah ta'ala, they were just motivated by love. And he
SubhanAllah.
said, you would hope that, and I would hope that, there would be those who would travel for us when we passed away.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
SubhanAllah.
So,
Allah, a very sensitive, beautiful topic that sadly many of us as Muslims, especially as when we were young, we're never taught this type of topic, you know what I mean? How to love one another, the tactics, the strategies, and how to gain the love of others or give love to others. Everybody just kind of gradually grows into it. Some people actually find it easy, and others, they were never taught, and so it becomes very difficult. What do you say to that stat?
and I think that it's beautiful that the Prophet ﷺ, one of the things he did was he taught community how to love. They didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to kiss my children. A funny story, I took my wife to my village in Sudan. She's not Sudanese, and she's not familiar with all of that, so she would come up to the kids and she would be like, give me a kiss, give me a kiss. And the kids were looking at her like, what are you talking about? They didn't even have this concept of like, what does that mean, give you a kiss?
Yeah.
It just shows you how some of our cultures are still incredibly
Yeah.
devoid
Yeah.
of these beautiful
These type of
concepts. And the
actions,
Prophet ﷺ, because I don't want you to think that guy who lived during the time of the Prophet and said, I never kissed any of my children, I don't want you
Yeah.
to think that this was something that only existed 1400 years ago.
Yeah.
There are many families that are until today, and
Yeah.
cultures even, that are
Yeah.
still devoid of these types of, what we would define to be human emotions.
Yeah.
Kissing your children is not something that you would think somebody needs to be taught.
Yeah.
And yet the Prophet ﷺ taught these people these things. He taught them how to love and how to communicate love. And so I think that we need to, of the things that we need to do, is we need to talk about the value of loving for the sake of Allah. We need to even check ourselves when we do we love people? Like, even our da'wah has to be motivated by love.
SubhanAllah.
A lot of times people ask me even the question with regards to, I want to give advice to people.
Yeah.
I want to give advice to people. I wanna correct somebody's behavior. You know, al-amr bil ma'ruf and nahy an munkar, commanding the good and forbidding the evil. How do I do it in a way that they're going to respond?
That's true.
And I tell them, come from a place of love. That's the idea.
That's deep, yeah.
Come from the place of love. If I feel that somebody who's telling me do this or don't do that, if I feel that they are coming to me from a place where they truly love me and they want goodness for me, then I am going to be responsive to that person. Like your grandmother when she tells you to do something.
Yeah.
Like your father when he tells you to do something. Like, you know, even somebody who's not a relative, but somebody who you know, yani a brother or sister in your community who, when they talk to you, you feel like they are sincere.
You respect their word. It's sincerity.
You're
Yeah.
sincere and that they only want good for you.
Yeah.
That is different than a person who you can sense. I mean, human beings, you have the ability to discern. You're not. You notice, for example, that you think that it might be coming from a place of ego, or they're doing it in a way that's very harsh.
Envy,
Yani you
Hasad.
don't feel
Yeah.
that love from them.
Yeah.
And so I think that's an important element, that a person reflects on why they're doing what they're doing, why they're advising that person, and making sure that they are truly doing it because they want goodness for them, and they want them to be successful in this life and the next.
It couldn't have been said any better.
Yeah.
Allah yardi, Ustad. So we'll close with that, a little bit over our time, but that's okay, because the knowledge, sometimes that's more important than anything else in life.
I think basically what's happening is that this is going to be edited down heavily.
Not even. I don't think we'll touch it. You might even see this content.
Allah
So inshallah, we'll leave you with those good words.
And as always, remember, Iman is our connection. Allah is our direction.
Ustad, his humor always gets me. His humor always gets me.
I got it.
Inshallah, till next time. Sallallahu sallam ala nabiyyina wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.
إسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي